Every year, trillions of dollars are created across the world, yet almost no one truly votes for it. And somehow, this invisible decision shapes the price of everything you buy every single day. Inflation rises, savings lose value, and still the system keeps creating more money anyway. It looks like a mistake, but in reality, it's part of how the global economy is designed to function. To understand it, you need to forget what you think money is and see how it actually moves. The global economy is not a machine you control. It is a system that must keep circulating. Factories produce goods, people earn income, and everything depends on continuous spending flow. The moment that flow slows down, the entire system starts showing signs of stress almost instantly. Jobs disappear, businesses pause investment, and governments begin searching for emergency solutions. And that's exactly when one powerful tool always comes back into play: the creation of new money. But most people imagine money being printed physically, when in reality it is mostly created digitally. Modern money appears when banks issue loans, instantly expanding the total money supply in the system. A mortgage or business loan is approved, and new money is created as numbers inside the banking system. That money is then spent into the real economy, paying builders, sellers, and entire supply chains. This increases demand across markets, which slowly begins pushing prices of goods and services upward. That is the early stage of inflation, where everyday items start costing more without obvious warning. People feel it first in groceries, rent, fuel, and basic living costs that change almost silently. But policymakers are often more afraid of something else: a complete slowdown in economic activity. Because when spending collapses, businesses stop hiring and the entire system starts contracting fast. So the system is built around avoiding collapse, even if it means tolerating rising inflation over time. When economies slow down too much, governments face pressure to prevent a deeper financial collapse. That pressure forces policymakers to push more lending, more spending, and faster money circulation again. Because in modern economies, growth is not optional. It is required to keep the system stable. So new money often enters during crises, when the system is at its weakest and most unstable point. This creates a cycle where emergencies justify solutions that expand the money supply even further. Each intervention adds liquidity, but also increases the total amount of money chasing limited goods. Over time, when money grows faster than production, prices adjust upward across the entire economy. Not suddenly, but gradually, so the connection is hard to notice in everyday life. By the time inflation becomes obvious, the system has already absorbed massive amounts of new money. And reversing that expansion is far more difficult than creating it in the first place. To slow inflation, central banks raise interest rates, making borrowing more expensive across the system. Higher rates reduce loans, slow spending, and immediately cool down investment and business expansion. But this also weakens housing markets, job creation, and overall economic momentum at the same time. So policymakers face a difficult trade-off between controlling inflation and preventing economic slowdown. Because no one wants stability that comes at the cost of rising unemployment and shrinking activity. Meanwhile, debt becomes the hidden center of the entire system, shaping almost every financial decision. Governments, companies, and households all operate with massive levels of borrowed money everywhere. And in that environment, inflation has a strange side effect. It reduces the real burden of debt. Money owed in the past becomes easier to repay when the value of money gradually decreases over time. So inflation doesn't just raise prices, it also quietly reshapes who wins and who loses in the system. This creates a powerful hidden incentive where inflation becomes useful for managing massive debt burdens. Not openly admitted, but deeply embedded in how modern financial systems quietly operate over time. Publicly, the goal is always price stability, but behind the scenes, survival of the system comes first. Because if debt becomes too heavy, entire governments and economies can struggle to function properly. So the system constantly balances between inflation, growth, and financial stability all at once. Every decision creates trade-offs that ripple through markets, households, and global financial flows. And most people only feel the outcome, not the complex chain of decisions behind it. That's why money creation continues even when everyone agrees inflation is harmful in theory. Because stopping it completely could freeze credit, spending, and the structure holding the economy together. So the system keeps choosing the lesser risk, even if it creates long-term hidden consequences. Over time, this builds a world where money is constantly expanding just to maintain stability. And stability itself becomes dependent on something that quietly erodes purchasing power year after year. That is the paradox. The same tool used to prevent crisis can slowly reshape the entire system. And the deeper you look, the more you realize no single group fully controls the outcome anymore. Which leaves one final question. What happens when the system can no longer expand to survive?